This is Gabriel Gonzalez for Cage Side Press here with Vanessa Little Monster Demopoulos, who will be fighting for the inaugural strawweight title in LFA in their return to action next month. So Vanessa, let's start at the beginning. Things shut down middle of March. What have you been up to since then?
I've been training.
I can tell you're happy about that.
Training's my favorite thing to do. So yes, I'm ecstatic about it, especially now that the gyms are back open, which is great. Because as soon as the pandemic happened, I had to really just completely reinvent the way that I train because I didn't have access to a gym. LA is probably one of the most strictest places when it came to the COVID. So all of my training had to happen inside and solo.
So what kind of stuff were you doing? Was it just like Rocky, just running around the block? Were you lifting the couch? Like what did training look like? Like honestly, because it's like you can't work jiu-jitsu without people. You can't work pads without somebody, all that other stuff.
Right. So I had to get really good with like things like shadow boxing, working a bag, a lot of ground and pound stuff, a lot of running, like you said, high knees, calisthenics by myself, and just making sure that my own mindset came first, and prioritizing that. But I was still getting 2 to 3 training sessions in every single day, even during the quarantine.
Now, one of the fun things is that most of the people were just sitting around, but then articles come out like, hey, if you're bored at home, like we all were, who are the best people to follow on social media? And here, one of the top girls on the list is the Little Monster. I mean, how do you take that? Because for me, I'd feel like, man, now everything's got to be lit. Otherwise, it's like, someone didn't know what they're talking about.
Man, thank you for that. I totally forgot about that article. And yeah, that's so dope, man, because when it comes to social media, I'm just living my best life, to be honest with you. Like, if y'all see me in person, it's way more intense than what you see on IG, I promise. But, I love to be happy and I love to have fun and smile. And I just want to share that shit with the world, So, that's what it is for me. That's what social media is. It's not just me sitting there trying to do shit for the IG. Like, I'm not doing it for the gram. Like, I'm doing it for me. I just happen to share it. So it's an honor for me that people, enjoy watching my social media. That's cool. I'm here for you because I know that y'all are here for me, and it's a give and take when it comes to that.
We've talked a lot about your other vocation as a stripper. You've told me, work's been slow, so not as much of that fun stuff. Hey, this is a PG-13 channel, Vanessa.
I'm sorry.
Just kidding. Coming to OnlyFans later this week. No, but work's been slow, so I want to talk to you about something else from your career, Ultimate Beastmaster. I just rewatched your episode the other day. Very fun. You're very blonde, I noticed, so it's been a minute. Talk to me about that experience. Awesome show. It's like American Ninja Warrior with more darkness. Talk to me about it.
So Beastmaster was such a cool experience. I loved it. It actually is kind of like American Ninja Warrior, but the Netflix version of that. And just getting the chance to be on a show like that, just showcase a different set of skills and a different passion. I'm very passionate about just being an athlete in general. I believe that there aren't many things I can't do physically. There's nothing I can't learn. So when it came to the Ultimate Beastmaster, I saw that. I was like, yeah, I got this. I didn't have this. It's a lot harder to jump 10 feet than you think it is in midair. So it was a really fun experience to be a part of that. And, I'm really blessed. I actually was the cover girl for that show for the season that I was on.
Yeah, you were on Netflix. You're the one, the pictures on it for the channel, yeah.
Yeah. It was fun.
All right, so I want to ask you about that because you did 2 rounds. First course, the one that got you, I believe, was the jump. So you're on the platform. It's like you're on a little flying saucer. You have to make it to the other one. I'm not going to lie. That hit looked worse than getting in a fight. I don't know if it was just the mic just caught that good thud, but watch the episode back. You jump and you just eat it straight to the chest and you face plant in the water. Was that worse on TV than it was in person for you? Talk to me about that one.
No, it was just as bad as it looks. It was was really bad because I smack and then I do like 3 backflips into the water. It was like, but there was no quit. It was 100% committed. Like, so there was nothing for me to catch myself because in my mind I was making this jump. And I feel like that's how you have to be in life. You know, you got to just be all in. And I was definitely all in. So that's what happened.
How deep is the water at the bottom? Because it looks very shallow, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but you could, no, really, you could get worse landing into that. How deep is it? Because it doesn't look that much on TV.
It was deep. I didn't hit the bottom. Yeah, it was deep. Yeah.
Second round, that jump, you're going up the platform, and we just see that grit coming out of you. I mean, I guess, what were you thinking? Because when you got the elbow over, I'm like, this is it. She's going to pull it off. I guess what happened?
Yeah, I remember this like it was yesterday. I have really good grips. Like jujitsu is my thing, right?
And I was thinking that too. It's like all those years of choking people out. She's gonna.
I got the grip. And what they didn't show was that we actually got to try that 3 times. Oh. Yes. So I think they like put like a few of the clips together, but it's like I got this grip and I knew I had it. And they told me just to get my shoulder over, and once my shoulder was over, I'd be able to just like kind of. And it just didn't work out that way. So I don't know. Yeah.
So like by the time you've actually fallen, you've had your jump and hold on a couple times now. So it's not like, the fighter gassed out in the first round. No, you'd been working at this, just the TV show, the editing.
Right, yeah, they edited it all together, but we did get 3 tries to do that, and I obviously failed all 3 times, but you know what, though? I gave it a really good run. I mean, that was from the heart, so...
I mean, it looked like a lot of fun. Let's talk about this. So we've been in quarantine a couple months now. At what point did LFA call you to say, you know what, this is what we're doing, and we want you to be the first one to fight for the title?
Last week.
Wow.
Yes. No, I didn't know about this in advance, so this was something that just popped up. But
were they emailing you to say, hey, we might be coming back July, we might this and that, or was it completely like you found out about the same time we all did?
Yeah, no, we all found out at the same time. So for me, like, I knew, like, I knew, like, I wasn't going to not be ready. Like, and that's who I am as a person. I actually love training. Like, this isn't a burden for me to train. Like, it's not a burden for me to be in a fight camp, quote unquote. Like, I'm always in fight camp, So for me, like, I'm happy. So, but anyways, I'm always training and I'm always thinking about what's next for myself. And I think that that's why opportunities come through, because like when you want something, when you're hungry and when you're ready, that's what happens. And like I had been in contact with the LFA. I knew that things were kind of going to come through and fall through eventually. Like they were trying to come back just like all of us athletes are trying to come back, just like all the gyms are trying to open up. We're all hungry. Like I knew like LFA themselves, like they're hungry, so I was just going to be ready to step up when they were ready, to come through. That's what it was.
Where does all that come from? Like, clearly you are passionate about this. This is your jam. I feel like if you're not fighting, if you're not training, then you're just at home like the rest of us were, feeling a little down. Because I remember you did an interview and you talked about this wasn't even your thing. You were dancing, and then someone was telling you got to commit to something else, and maybe you'd make something, and here you are as a fighter. I mean, talk to me about that whole origin story, because I think a lot of people don't realize someone's talking trash to you at the club, and now here we are about to fight for a title and possibly other stuff.
That's a good one, man. Thank you for this question, because passion carries, and I'm a firm believer of like, you got that it factor, you got that fire, that's transferable, and that's what I've always had in my life. I got really bad ADHD, I got obsessive compulsive disorder, and I also have bipolar disorder. So it's like all of these things as a kid that people were telling me like were these big hindrances on my life. I took them and I flipped them, and I made them something amazing and something incredible, and I put them towards something. I was that kid with so much energy that I was uncontrollable. So it's like, just give me an outlet for this energy. Give me somewhere to put it. And that's what I found as a dancer, as a stripper, an exotic entertainer, where like I got to just be completely free in my art. And I got to just put all of that into the pole dancing and focus. And then somebody was talking shit, like you were saying, about how, like, if you just actually put that towards fighting, you might do something with your life instead of just being in the club. And I was like, well, shit, teach me how to fight. you know, and then boom, and that's how it happened. And I fell in love with fighting because just like dancing, I get to be free, you know, and I get to be an artist, and I get to be creative and passionate and just like focus. So it's like fighting really has given me the best outlet possible for somebody who wasn't supposed to make it. And when I look at this, it's the best opportunity in my whole damn life, you know, and it's the only opportunity that I really feel like I'm at home. I'm completely free and I can be all of myself, not have to hide and not have to feel like I'm a burden, you know? So like fighting it's everything for me.
I mean, with this, I think what's surprising, though, is that you found it later in your life. It's not like you grew up doing martial arts. I did hear that you've spent your whole life fighting. You're 5'1". How are you getting into so many fights that you're suspended for the rest of the school year? Because, like, what were you fighting about? Was it, you know, the Napoleon complex? What happened? Like, because it's like, I almost feel like it's common sense. It's like you don't, you know how this is going to go. You know what I mean?
Right. Man, when I was in school, and I wasn't allowed to fight girls, I only fought boys. And so...
Because your parents thought the girls would sue you.
Yes! Oh my goodness, yes, absolutely that. So I never hit a girl until I got into the cage, believe it or not, except for my poor sister. Sorry, I love you. Yeah, I was just rambunctious. I just got into so many fights. You know, I would see people picking on people, and I would go up and intervene, you know, and I'd be that person on the in-between. Like, you want to pick on somebody, I'm here to fight, let's go. You know, like, and I would just stand up for the little people, and I guess I still kind of do that a lot in life, you know, and that's, hey, we all need each other, you know, and people who need someone to fight for them, I got you. I'm here for you. I'm here with you, you know, emotionally, mentally, and physically, because I will step up. But yeah, I think in school I just had a lot of anger, you know, and I just found any reason I could to fight. And it's really messed up. I don't recommend that, but that's who I was, you know, and I got suspended a lot for it and then eventually expelled.
Oh my gosh. But I got to say, you know, success story, it's worked out. You've professional in 2 disciplines, published author with a 9th grade education. I mean, here we are. Let's talk about the task at hand. Samantha Hughes, undefeated. What does she bring to the table when you fight for the title?
Man, Sam Hughes was actually on the last card that I fought on, so that was really cool. She fought up at 125. I've always been 115, so I know this is going to be her first time coming down, and especially she gets to fight for the title at 115. So dope for her. But yeah, I mean, I'm coming ready. You know, I'm coming correct. I have my skills that I'm very good at, and I have the skills that I've worked very fucking hard for. So I know that for her, you know, I think she's fairly well-rounded. You know, she's an MMA fighter, and yeah, she's made it to 4-1. So congratulations, let's go. Or 4-0. She's 4-0. She's undefeated. I'm sorry, my bad. Correction.
The final question, I've seen MMA Junkie bring you up. I've seen other places bring you up. Potential contender series, potential, you know, one of these people that could be drafted for the big show. I mean, we've seen people go straight from LFA and LFA titles to the UFC. How do you see it? Do you feel like this one gets you the call to the big show? Do you feel like it might be contender series before then? How do you map it out if you get the victory?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like what's next is what's next. Like that's destiny. That's what happens when you work hard, you know, and that's what happens when you show up to the party. And I always show up to the party. So whatever comes, I'm ready, you know, and I've just always felt like in life, whatever opportunities are in front of you, that's what you're ready for, you know, because God's never going to give me something that I'm not ready for. So let's go. I'm here. I came.
So if it works out that way, you're cool even doing contender series before possibly UFC, if that's how it works.
Hell yeah, I'm cool for a short call to the UFC. I'm cool for contender series, and I am blessed to be having the opportunity to fight for the LFA title. That's how I feel.
Well, Monster, I don't think we've got to add much more than that. And so let's break down Demopoulos versus Hughes, July 17th for the inaugural LFA strawweight title. You guys are not going to want to miss it.